Hello and good day, everyone. I'm very happy to welcome you all to the launch of Study Group Cohort 3rd. This is organized by Women in Ethereum Protocol. I'm wearing the shirt today. This program is not just about learning, it's about building the community. That's what we are trying to do here. We are trying to explore Ethereum, trying to find ways by which people can contribute to open source projects and we all can grow together. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to thanks to all those amazing people who have made this thing possible here. We have some special guests for this particular cohort 3 inauguration. We would love to hear their thoughts and their contribution, and would love to understand how it feels like being a woman in Ethereum ecosystem. So let me welcome our special guest from Protocol Support, Ethereum Foundation in Nixo. I'm expecting Sophia as well. Thank you, Sammy Russo, for joining us. I would also like to thank my co-founder, Ladona and Shaive. Shaive is unfortunately not here, but you're going to listen from Ladona in a few minutes for all those hard work that they have made into bringing this grip here today. And I would like to thank to all our past participants, coordinators, mentors. I already see Gyan here. Thank you, Gyan, for joining in. And all the mentors who are not here but have helped us run cohort 1 and 2, Sam Wilson and Teku and Besu team here. So thank you everyone for bringing this together, and huge shout out to Katya, who has put cohort 3 here and is championing to support you get your ways into the Ethereum ecosystem. So in next hour or so, you're going to learn about the WIP missions and goals. And Ladona will be sharing how we all started, I think, because she's the one who has made that push that WIP is existing today. So huge shout out for her. And then we will learn about a little bit about our past cohorts. Then we'll get insights from Ethereum experts, and then we will find out what is planned for cohort 3. So before we get started, Latana, if you would like to maybe start with a brief introduction and how this all started.
Yeah, great. First of all, I'm LaDonna Higgins. I work at the Ethereum Foundation. I am so happy to welcome each and every one of you here today. It's so exciting to see how the participation continues to grow. You never know, like when you start to work on an initiative, like how it's going to form, how it's going to shape. Is it going to be valuable? Will other people see the value in it? So every time I'm able to join a call or be a participant in the work study group, I'm so pleased that we chose the right path in our focus for WIP. So in the beginning, when we started to brainstorm on how we could make the ecosystem more inclusive to women, there were so many different directions that we thought about going in, tackling pain points, tackling safety in the ecosystem, but we landed on education. We felt like education is one thing that will always open doors for you and can never be taken away from you, and you can use it as your leisure to create whatever you want in any environment. And so that's how we came up with the WIEP work study group. We wanted to create an environment where women felt that they can be vulnerable, they can get the support of other women without the pressure immediately to get everything right. This week, I've been working on some different projects through the Ethereum Foundation on chain, going through different, tasks on chain, and I realize how frustrating it can be when you're surrounded by the people that you think know it all, and you're kind of afraid to ask questions because you might feel like you should know it. And that's what we really wanted to create, a safe environment for women to become contributors to the Ethereum protocol. And we felt like that would open the doors, that would create inclusiveness within the ecosystem without directly targeting individual pain points. And so over the last two cohorts, I just would like to say thank you so much to Lena, to Gyan, who has spearheaded the first two cohorts. I will always say I am not on the technical side. I am more on the organization side. So having Lena and Gyan step in to really put together a work study program that was very beneficial, that really didn't require anything more than their volunteer time. I'm just so grateful that they were able to step in Katya, I'm super excited for cohort 3. It's looking amazing. I want to say thank you to the client team volunteers who have stepped in to also elevate the work study program. It's just a really exciting place to sit when you see like your initiative growing and women being supported. Not only do we focus on work study, but we also work on focusing on how can we get more participation from women in the larger events that are happening throughout the ecosystem, whether that's through grants, whether that's through partnerships, mentorships. So we are completely focused on how do we get as much maximum participation from women and understanding what do we need to do to support that. So before I pass the floor, I just want to encourage each and every one of you to contribute to the WIEP community. If there's initiatives, if there's things that you need support on, if there's things that you think require our attention, our platform, this WIP is for you. It's for us. It's for the community. So even though we have co-founders and leaders and coordinators, it is really an open platform for us and everyone in the community to contribute to. So please never hesitate to reach out, tell us your ideas, let us know how we can help. This is what we're here for. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ladana. I couldn't agree more than this. Like, this is an initiative, but it is running because of the community. Here we are gonna talk a little bit more about WIEP missions and visions and just walk you through over the journey that we have in the past 1 year. I have shared this in the last Gyan presentation, so people who may not have been there would find it new. But for people who are already with us, I'm happy if you have any thoughts and if you would like to share more about it and maybe let us know how we have done in our efforts to make our mission more successful. As Ladna mentioned, that we are more focused on education, but we do have other things in mind, and we are trying to build this as a safe space to empower all the women. Whenever they are ready, they can join our ecosystem and start making contribution right away. It's an inclusion of like so many things. People come with different ideas, different thoughts, and different backgrounds. Not everything is same for everyone, but we would like to make sure that they are capable of making contribution to the open source. We are encouraging more women who are here for the first time, that they haven't been made any contribution to open source yet. Ethereum can be a deep sea, but stepping their toes are not bad. This is an effort. This is the journey. We launched a WIEP group last year in Denver on 29th February. And since then, we have made so many conversations with different participants. We try to meet time to time. And this is the journey throughout the year. And I look forward to have many more cohorts coming in and contributing to the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm going to run it fast forward because I know we have a lot more things to come up. So it's a general high level overview of what we are trying to do here is kind of creating diversity to the developers group. We are working on diversity on all front, and in Ethereum we do work on client diversity. Similarly, we are also working on diversity on the developers. It's all about building community, and study group will provide you the right connection to meet the people who are already engaged in the ecosystem and may get advantage of people who are already making contribution with their experience sharing. We are also trying to provide technical resources to bring you up to the speed. So you would get to know more about it when Katya would be sharing all about the plan that we have it for cohort 3. This is going to be definitely different from what we did it in the past. The idea is, even if you are not able to make contribution right away with this cohort, you should be going away with some knowledge that would help you bring back with more information, and you would be in a position to make your contribution then. We try to bring this program, and for people who may not be aware, I would like to share that there is also Ethereum Protocol Fellowship Program, Ethereum Protocol Study Group, which we feel is a kind of a flow from WIP cohorts. They can go into that EPF cohort. This is just like, for people who are on the very early stage of Ethereum development or blockchain development in general. If you have any question, comments, these are our contacts. We are always available to help and answer your questions. But the best way to connect with us would be the Discord and the Telegram group that we have created. Discord, we encourage more because that's where you will find more of the developers. And if you want to contribute to Ethereum ecosystem, all the research work, all the conversation happens on Discord, ETH R&D Discord. With that, I would like to pass it on to our next speaker. I think Gyan is here to maybe let us know more about how we did with the past two cohorts. So maybe you can talk about the numbers and share some quick recap.
Did the same presentation at the Women in Ethereum Protocol meetup during DevCon, so it might be a bit redundant for those who already attended that. But it's still fun, nice to see how far we have come, where we started from. So, the Women in Ethereum Protocol study group, for those of you who are fairly new, we have run two cohorts of this. And the aim of this is to onboard largely devs who are interested in contributing to Ethereum protocol. So we want to remove the barrier of complexity to open source contribution. That was the thought with which we wanted to start the study group. And the way the study group runs is that we collaboratively pick up issues. We, of course, get help from different teams. Like last time we had Besu and Teku teams helping us out, and the time before we had some interesting issues that we could work with. So every cohort we have different teams in our ecosystem that are helping with repos. We find some issues that are fairly easy to crack, and the study group hosts will distribute the issues to those who are participating in the study group, and they work together to basically start their contribution, right? So you start small, you start with the easy issues, and then you climb up the ladder. And over a period of time, the idea is that open source contribution should feel easy, it should feel doable, and it should feel like you have all the right steps to know how to contribute to open source. Okay, having said that, we have some insights from our previous cohort. So, congratulations to all the graduates. We have a bunch of them. We are so happy to see so many names. Congratulations to everyone who participated and was, able to. When we say graduate, basically they were able to solve one or more issues as part of their cohort. So, we have Crystal, Kola, Kemi, Raizizi, Alia, Irene. Katya, Shweta, Preeti, Wes, Hema, Shubhanshi, Asli, Huda. Katya has come twice because she saw too many issues. Mercy, IJ, Root, Khadija, Miraf, Euphemia, Lavender, Marlene, TC, Steph, Raquel, Coxie, Glory, Vikish, and Alicia. Uh, I'm assuming that's the name. Okay, so congratulations to everyone. Everyone did a great job, and we are happy that you were able to take out some time and just contribute to the cohort itself. The way the cohort works, as I already mentioned, we have weekly sessions where we meet together, right? And we discuss the issue that has been assigned to everyone. We don't actually give any solutions. The hosts don't provide any solutions to the issue, but we just encourage you to share where you if you are blocked somewhere, then what could be some potential ways that you could get going to solve your issue. The GitHub that we are using for that is WIEP team/study group. For every cohort, we'll make a new repository, and you can continue. We'll keep track of all the contributions, all the issues in that repository. I'm assuming, Katya, that that's the process you're going to continue as well for cohort 3. So this is the first thing where you start with even listing your issues on GitHub. So you start feeling comfortable with GitHub, you start feeling comfortable with making changes on GitHub, even if it is just some small static data, and that's a good start for you. Demographics across our cohorts, we have had people from 21 countries participate because it is virtual in nature. So you could, just about pick an issue, solve it where you are based, and then just come for help, seek for help during our weekly sessions, right? So we have had large presence from India and Nigeria. We have seen a lot of budding developer ecosystem from these regions. But of course, Russia, Ghana, UAE, Turkey, Kenya, USA, Germany, we have seen presence from everywhere, right? And then you can see there's one person who has joined from different other countries as well. So basically, it's a very global cohort that way. As Pooja earlier mentioned as well, you will get to meet other people. You will also get to understand a bit of like what the Web3 culture is like in other countries if you get to, make new friends, as part of this whole cohort, right? In terms of demographics of years of experience in Web3 development, because we directly start with GitHub contribution, we do advertise that we want people to have at least 2 years of experience in coding. So they feel comfortable writing code, they feel comfortable playing around with code. That's like the bare minimum thing we expect from people. But it's interesting to see that people with Web3 experience, we have a lot of people who have significant Web3 experience joining us, right? Years of experience in Web3 development. So we have the highest, of course, is actually 2 years is the highest percentage, and then freshers, slightly less experience or just started out kind of thing. But we have significant number of people even in the third. So you can see that the experience ranges between 1 to 6 years. So whether you are just getting started with Web3 or you have a lot of experience in development or even Web3 development and want to start contributing to Ethereum repositories, this is a great place for you to start, right? No barriers whatsoever. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Some insights from our previous cohort, and we want to thank everyone who has helped make these cohorts happen. Sally and Sam, I think because they were pivotal in kind of just being there, helping out, but we also had other folks, Kanchan and other people involved, helping us round the clock in terms of if they were stuck and things like that. So yeah, some numbers. We had 83 applicants, 42 participants, 20 closed issues. This is really amazing to see. And this is on live repos, you all. Like, it's not something that repos that we created, right? So very cool to see 20 closed issues, 7 more. I think they are closed now because this was figured in November. And then we had few people participate in the fellowship program as well. So that's very nice. Good exposure there. We have some nice quotes. You can chat and laugh and learn with the Billion community. And if you people who started from the beginning were able to progressively make a good amount of progress on their issues, and they were progressively able to learn as well. So someone, if you are struggling and feel like it is overwhelming to you, join the study group and you realize that everyone's struggling. Right? So it's not just you, and then you struggle together and then you solve together, right? That's the whole idea. And you push each other, encourage each other, and hold each other accountable for doing things. You don't give up halfway through because something is very hard, right? You have a community to support you. And yeah, some snippets from our sessions. As I mentioned, it's virtual. You're free to join. And you're also free to join mostly most cohorts at any point in time. But I don't know if this was designed a bit different. But you are mostly allowed to also do multiple issues, and like, so, but it's a very flexible kind of study group, so it's also fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My partner in crime, Lena, is missing, but super thankful to her as well for being my co-host. And I wish everyone best of luck for the next cohort.
Thank you so much, Gyan, for sharing that. I think some of your questions were there in the chat around what we are going to do, what is the end result and expectation. So you kind of set the expectations over there already. Yes, it is an opportunity to contribute to Ethereum ecosystem directly. That's what we are trying to provide here. And to provide you more information about like how you feel when you are part of Ethereum ecosystem and how you can actually support Ethereum protocol, we have our next speaker, Nixo, who has joined the Ethereum protocol support team and works for Ethereum Foundation. Welcome, Nixo, and let us know how you're feeling and what are the words of advice for this new group of women who would like to contribute to Ethereum ecosystem.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nixo. I'll first introduce myself. I came into the space a number of years ago. I got interested in crypto, and then I kind of dropped out of crypto for a little while. And the thing that brought me back into crypto was running a node and staking. And so when the Beacon chain launched, I came back into Ethereum in a much more engaged way. And I was learning how to run a node. I'm not a super technical person. I actually came to Ethereum from, I used to be an oceanographer, and Ethereum just started overwhelming all of my interests. And so I left oceanography to work in Ethereum. And the way that that happened is that the more I learned about how to run a node, how to deal with the networking of it, how to figure out what infrastructure I needed, the more I started helping other people figure out their own situations. So I volunteered for an organization called ETHStaker, and then I started working with ETHStaker once I moved into Ethereum full time. And then from there, I moved to the EF. I've been at the EF full time now for just a month, part time for about 6 months. Yeah. So today I'm going to talk about rough consensus. Because I came in through staking, there was a need for somebody to kind of communicate to core devs what stakers' needs were, and vice versa, to communicate from core devs to stakers what research was coming through the pipeline, what affected them, get people to sort of like speak up if the things that were coming in the pipeline were at all harmful to stakers or confusing or needed to be changed or shifted in some way. So I really, the thing that brought me to the EF is I started attending the all core developer calls to make sure that stakers' interests were accurately represented, because it tends to be a group of people who are quieter, they're anonymous, they don't like to speak up because they are putting a huge amount of money on the line, and they usually just like want to be quiet about it. So Ethereum is unique in the governance model that it takes on, because in traditional system, we have elected officials, or we have some sort of hierarchy, or in corporate environments, we have executives who are hired to some position to make decisions about how the company is going to change, what the roadmap is going to look like, how fast people are going to move on making these changes. But that's pretty impossible in Ethereum, where no one person is in charge of anything. And so you need some sort of alternate governance model. And a lot of crypto organizations have opted for stuff like on-chain governance. So like you could have a consensus mechanism, or that is governed by the number of tokens that you have, and the cadence and changes are, those decisions are made by the token holders. But Ethereum is unique in that it just uses rough consensus. So basically, there are calls that are organized once a week. There are the all core dev calls once a week, and then there are breakout calls outside of that. And there are coordinators within those calls, but what those coordinators are looking for is not to direct people, but to find the consensus of the participants in that. And the participants in those calls are all sorts of stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, I don't mean like tokens or value or anything like that. I mean people who are actually participating in the protocol and who the protocol affects in different ways. So the first thing, when there is a problem in the Ethereum protocol, it's usually like users who discover it, it's developers who are building on the protocol, it's L2s who are trying to use the L1 to settle down to, it's consensus participants like validators. And all of that is sourced on like social media. People start complaining, people start bringing their ideas, their issues, their problems to places like Ethereum Magicians. Or if they are already like engaged in research and have better ideas, then they bring those things to ETH Research. Those things tend to be like, in the past, it's been unpredictable gas fees, it's been builder centralization that validators have seen, it's been poor wallet UX, unstructured bytecode, call data, the fact that call data is too expensive for L2s to use. So like this is an abundance of issues that can be sourced by any sort of user of the Ethereum protocol or developer on the Ethereum protocol. And so the next step is to start doing research on what the problem is and whether or not a solution can be found. This tends to be done by researchers, sometimes users or devs who become researchers in this process. These are solutions. This is research that is done in any venue, but a good central point to sort of like collect discussion and solicit feedback is Ethereum Magicians and ETH Research. And I'll tell you the difference between those forums is a little soft, but Ethereum Magicians tends to be for things that are like more pragmatic, things that affect DeFi or builders, or things that still need to go into the core protocol, changes that need to go into the core protocol, but that aren't super like lofty academic years out. Whereas research, ETH Research tends to be like a little bit more of an academic setting, where they're dealing with like harder problems that may have a longer roadmap. Yeah, so once they start sorting through a solution, and I will say this is the hardest step. It is there tends to be a big dichotomy between things like research and application of that research. So this coming up with a solution tends to be the hardest step, because the researchers sometimes aren't users themselves. They're just dealing with this. They're kind of nerd sniped. They're very smart. They maybe have like PhDs in cryptography. So this is, I think, where there's a lot of room for people to come in and pick on existing research and figure out how to apply it to a protocol. So this tends to be users, researchers, devs, and community all working together. And they're still using the Ethereum Magicians forum. They're now working on GitHub. They might be like starting to implement an EIP. They might be coming to the all core dev calls. They might be facilitating their own breakout calls. And so at some point, they're going to create an EIP. And this EIP is going to be brought to the all core dev calls. It's going to be proposed for some fork. And at that point, you might think, okay, we're ready to implement it, right? And usually not. An EIP is going to go through lots of iterations before it's ready to be implemented. And then once it is implemented, it'll start being shifted to the responsibility of the core devs. And I mean, the EIP is going to already hopefully have some spec tests done. It's already going to have some implementation. But the core devs are going to implement it, see how it interacts with all of the other EIPs that are going into some fork. And this is usually a much longer process. There's devnets and testnets before anything ever goes onto mainnet. And then at some point you get to a spec freeze, and hopefully the EIP goes live on mainnet. Yeah, so that's sort of high level, the process here. And like this is a graphic that Trent Van Epps from he like facilitates the Protocol Guild. If anybody's unfamiliar with the Protocol Guild, it is a mechanism by which people who work on the Ethereum core protocol can get paid. In a neutral sense, it doesn't come from the EF. It comes from like crowdsourced funding from organizations that are affected by Ethereum. So it tends to be like token allocations from airdrops or stuff like that. So this is sort of an illustration of everybody who's in the Protocol Guild. And when we talk about core developers, or when we talk about client devs, this is sort of who we're talking about, is the ones in the purple boxes. Everybody else tends to be like referred to generally as core devs and researchers. And most of these boxes fit into that category. And just an illustration, these are all of the Ethereum upgrades that have happened since the beginning of Ethereum. And when I was putting this graphic together, it made me realize how much standards have changed throughout Ethereum's lifetime, and how very brand new all of these processes are, and how like how much room they have to grow and change and solidify. Because even see these little green boxes above each fork is how many EIPs were in each fork. And even the records kept for how many EIPs are in each fork are like different from fork to fork. Roughly the same, pretty easy to find, but like the standards have been changing, and the cadence that forks are happening, the protocols that EIPs that forks use to get EIPs into the upgrades have been changing. And there's a whole conversation right now there's this whole conversation right now because Pectra is about to be implemented. That's the fork that's going to happen in about 2 months. And it was a little messy. It was a little chaotic. And so the conversation is happening right now on how to make this process more efficient, how to increase the fork cadence. And so this process will be shifting and hopefully solidifying into something fast, efficient, and standard. That's pretty much all I have. There are 5 resources here. I wrote a blog post a couple weeks ago on rough consensus on like the process of getting an EIP and the process of writing an EIP. There are two, and then the next one is a talk from Tim Bako on from ECC a couple years ago on this process. There are so many more things I can say. Like if you're writing an EIP, there are cool. Yeah, so there are so many more things, but these resources will give you sort of an overview on all of those resources and guides and processes. Yeah, so that was me. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take any questions. I don't know if I have any time left. I think I ran over by a minute.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And just a small correction that the EPF office hour, I think that is being run by EPF team, Josh and Mario. But we do conduct an office hour that is specially dedicated for EIP editing. So when authors are in process of creating EIPs, then we have this office hour in order to support them and facilitate to document the best proposal for becoming an Ethereum standard along the way. Thank you so much for this talk. I hope more women will get inspired, as it is evident that we have so many people around us to help us support in whatever field we want to get involved with. We are inviting next another guest from Ethereum Foundation, who is gonna talk about her journey as protocol support team. Welcome to Sophia Gold.
Hi, yeah. So I didn't really prepare anything. I work on protocol support at the EF. I was hired not that long ago, last year at the same time as Nixo. Protocol support is somewhat of a catch-all team at this point. And I am still kind of figuring out how to explain to people what I do, and also possibly still figuring out what I do. But I think both for that purpose and for the purpose of this group, it would maybe be useful to talk about, my background and how I got here. Because I come from a technical background, but before that, I come from a non-traditional background, and I think that's important, right, in our industry. So I studied fine art as an undergrad. I've never taken a computer science class in my life. The last math class I took was calculus in high school. And in my 20s, I worked, a wide variety of jobs. I worked in finance for a little while, but I also waited tables for years. And then at some point, basically, I, got sick of being poor and somehow had the idea that, software development was a change that I could make, and that you could kind of, just do things, as people say. I think that was an easier move to make last decade, right, than, of course, it is right now with the hiring landscape in tech and the macro landscape. But I think it's still important as like a job option, for people who maybe don't have credentials or were not like kind of put on some track earlier in life. So yeah, I mean, I got into that largely just through self-study and doing side projects in my free time, and some degree of open source contribution. And I ended up being a backend engineer. I think kind of the theme of my career that has really been increasing, including like up, until present, has been specialization, which, to some extent, I think, went against the grain of a certain, strategy and engineering, especially last decade when big tech was, hiring so much, which was, you want to be as much of a generalist as possible, which is like what most big tech jobs are, and switch between jobs very frequently, at least if you care about compensation, which, to be honest, I do. Obviously not singularly because I work at the EF, but I think it'd be silly to say that doesn't matter. But I feel vindicated, especially now, in the greater landscape, and finding something that really fits me with what I do here at Protocol Support. So that started out as I worked in what are relatively niche programming languages, and that it was something that kind of narrowed the field of jobs. But the thing about a job is you only need one of them, right? So I think benefited me. And then in 2018, after the ICO boom, that was a catalyst for a lot of engineers to pour into crypto, as these projects had a lot of funding and were kind of racing towards mainnet. And a lot of, I've been working in functional programming languages. A lot of functional programmers were getting into crypto, and there's this idea that of course didn't pan out, that it was going to solve a lot of security issues in the wake of, for example, the DAO hack. And so I worked as a core developer for a number of years on Tezos, which is at the time a big ICO era project. And then after that, I moved into engineering management on Polkadot, another ICO era project, in sort of a hybrid engineering management and product management role, to the extent that product management is a thing for a protocol, right, which is very unique. And I think kind of like a theme there is that I would say, you have to be smart to be an engineer, but you don't have to be that smart, right? And what I think people discount a lot is there are a lot of personality factors in it. So things I've noticed with mentoring junior engineers when it comes to things like jumping into large code bases or debugging, a lot of those really are personality issues more so, I think, than intelligence. But then another factor that I think people tend to encounter, and I did at a certain point later in your career, is whether you really like programming enough to do it long term. And I think the people that I've worked with who are really world-class programmers, they just love doing the job so much. And I think that's almost a requirement to get really to that level. And frankly, I didn't, which is another common thing I think that happens. And so that was kind of maybe you could say a second transition in my career into finding something else to do that allowed me to leverage the skills that wasn't implementation. And but at the same time, I really like working in crypto. I feel good about what I do, and the problem solving, what we get to work on, and the speed it moves at, I find really fulfilling. So I benefited from doing that, and particularly in L1 context, which I think is actually even more niche, right, in terms of the number of people that understand how and care about how L1s work. You see this on Twitter a lot, especially if you work on Ethereum, that is widely discussed, but I think not widely understood. And so that basically has brought me to my job in protocol support, where basically what I'm doing right now is coordinating R&D at the EF around the execution layer, right? So I think most of you are fairly aware about how Ethereum works, that you run two binaries when you're running a node, basically for historical reasons around the merge, and the execution layer, which are basically the pre-merge proof of stake clients that run the EVM, keep track of accounts. It has largely it's changed very little in the past, and it's also not historically really not been a focus of research at the EF. So we're trying to very quickly change that and develop a research plan for the future of it. And so like I said at the beginning, I'm kind of figuring out still how to do that, but I think that it requires an understanding of a wide breadth of things. It's very interdisciplinary, and as opposed to researchers that can to some degree have a large degree of impact working in a pretty small field that you might have studied in school. I kind of have to have more of a broader but more shallow level of understanding across the protocol, but then also try to apply some lessons about how technical organizations move in development, and also even kind of interpersonal issues that can arise with researchers and devs as they work on these things in a fast-changing landscape. So yeah, I mean, I would say again, I come from a technical background, even though I'm not actually doing engineering right now, and I think that is a great way to get into whatever you'd like to do in crypto or in tech in general, because despite all of the problems that we experience in terms of diversity, in terms of bias and access to things, it is, I think, one of the most meritocratic career paths you could take. And particularly doing open source development gives a opportunity to, it leaves a large open door, I think, right, to go in and any decent open source project is going to have like issues organized, flagged for beginners, and somebody that you should be able to talk to about contributing with those. And as someone who's been on, the hiring side, right, hiring engineers, that is, so doing that, contributing to like a reputable large open source project, it would be one of the largest things to make somebody stand out to me, right? And I prefer that greatly over like data structures and algorithms interviews, which frankly personally I've always been terrible at. And as much as we try to make them neutral, do have some element of bias. So that and specialization, I think would probably the two best pieces of advice I have based on my own background.
Thank you so much for these advice and for this inspiring share. Coming from diverse background and finding a path in Ethereum is truly motivating for those still considering joining the ecosystem. As Nixo also mentioned that she was an oceanographer and now she is part of Ethereum ecosystem, similar for you. And having economic independence as an incentive, I think it can be a powerful motivation behind this. But what matters at the end of the day, like you are enjoying what you want to do here in the ecosystem. So great. Thank you so much. And if there are any questions for Sophia or Nixo, please feel free to drop it in the chat. With that, I would like to invite our next guest. She is a co-developer at Prism, and perhaps she can help us understand more the role of women in Ethereum protocol development. Welcome, Sammy Russell.
Okay, so I'm Sammy. I'm an Ethereum core developer on the Prism consensus client. I originally started by doing digital arts and multimedia technology. And from there, I wanted to become a graphic designer. When I graduated that, I worked as a graphic designer for a year before I very quickly realized that I absolutely hated it. Uncertain of what to do, I decided to just join a master's course in computer science, and I taught myself how to program in Python. After for my final year, I wrote a thesis in conjunction with a crypto broker about the decentralization of the Ethereum network. And from there, I continued working for this crypto company before a bear market basically killed them. This sank them. They ended up working with 2 or 3 core personnel only. And from there, my family decided that I had to get a real job. And the real job in this case was e-commerce, which was one of the most dull experiences of my life. And I worked for an e-commerce company for about 2 years before I decided, I was curious to see again what crypto was up to and what was going on in the Ethereum space. And I ended up on Prism's website where I found out that they were recruiting. And so I said, what the hell? I sent my CV, went through the interview process, and then when they accepted me, I quit my job and never looked back. So as far as technical background goes, I was pretty much fresh out of uni and had a bit of experience working for this crypto broker, but that's about it. The Prism team is amazing. We're a small group of only 12 developers, and they are honestly some of the smartest and most talented people I've ever worked with. So what is Prism? So I guess some of the other speakers went into a bit of details about how Ethereum works. And Prism is now a consensus client by Offchain Labs and has been so for the last 2 years. It was a couple months ago that we had our 2-year anniversary. As a refresher, an Ethereum node is made up of a consensus client, so in our case, Prism, and an execution client. So as an example here is Geth. The consensus client handles all the proof of stake operations, and the execution client processes, smart contracts and transactions. This was a snapshot that I got off clientdiversity.org. This is very promising to see because we want as much client diversity as we can. And Prism was a ruling majority for quite a long time. So it's nice to see some of the other clients actually building in numbers. Anything above 33% was considered risky, and then anything above 66 is considered incredibly dangerous for the network. From here, these are some tidbits about, or some fun facts about Prism. So Prism is written primarily in Golang. We're V5 now, and we just released some changes yesterday that allows us to go live on Pectra in the Sapoli and Holsky testnets. We were written twice, originally a Geth fork called Geth sharding, and was the first consensus client and also the first client to have an API. The problem was that it was written in gRPC, and now we're trying to remove gRPC and replace it completely with pure HTTP. Well, one of two Slasher implementations, at least from August, and first client with a UI. So what is an Ethereum core developer? Well, Ethereum core developers, they do a lot of different things. I guess, as some of the other speakers were saying, reviewing EIPs, writing consensus specs and tests, and in our case, the most important thing is developing the Prism client. Our primary focus in this is to implement hard forks. For context, like a hard fork is a change to a protocol's rules that will require all the nodes in the network to upgrade in order to stay compatible. And it's interesting because each fork follows some, oh, sorry, I should have changed the slides. The naming convention of the fork, so the latest one is Pectra. The names themselves are, for the consensus changes, they're named after stars in alphabetical order. So in this case, Electra. And then for the execution changes, they reference old or previous DevCon events. So in this case, it's Prague. And all of the ones post-merge are like this. And I think Pectra is the largest fork post-merge for as far as EIPs included. It seems like there's a QR here you can scan to see all of the EIPs that have been included so far. These are just some of the ones that have been included that I just wanted to list. And then when it's going to happen is going to be sometime soon. And yeah, this is what we do. Thank you. This QR code also brings you to the Prism first issues, good first issues, if anyone wants to contribute. One of the most important things, doesn't really matter if you have a technical background or anything, if you just see something that you feel like trying to tackle, you can just write to anyone in the Prism Discord, and everyone is very willing to help you through it and answer and lead you. And I learned how to program in Go through my current job at Prism.
Thank you so much, Sammy. Seeing more women from diverse backgrounds stepping into this space is like truly inspiring. As you rightly said, you don't have to be a developer to contribute to Ethereum just yet. Take the first step by joining these guest sessions. And if you're not comfortable, you would be in due course. I'm confident you will find a path as Sammy did as a developer. This is just the beginning of it. I have shared the link to the EIP 7600, which is basically the hard fork meta for Pectra. As she already explained what Pectra is and all, we do maintain some kind of process around how do we plan these upgrades. These are all public. So there are so many things to learn about Ethereum execution layer, consensus layer, network upgrade, so many things. I think Katya has some explainers, some introduction to what to expect with this cohort, an overview that we have planned for cohort 3, goals, structure, and how to participate. So let's cover that. Welcome, Katya.
Oh, welcome everyone. I'm happy to see you. Actually, I see a lot of familiar faces from the previous cohorts. Yeah, I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm EPF Cohort 5 Fellow and Women in Ethereum Protocol Cohort 1 and 2 Fellow as well. So I really love this program because it helped me a lot to go through my way through the fellowship. So for this cohort, we will have these 3 key points: education, open source, and contributing into Ethereum protocol. How we are going to learn? We will invite special guests for our sessions, and they give us talks and you can ask them questions. We also provide you useful resources. You can dive deeper into the protocol, and we all will share knowledge, not only me and Lena, but you as well, because I'm sure you also know a lot. and it will be great networking. I see these girls, I don't know, you are so many girls in one call. That makes me happy. So another important part is open source contributions, because at this program, you will be able to practice and to open pull requests in our Women in Ethereum protocol GitHub repo. So that will make the things easier for you. And the main part of the program, as our previous cohorts, will be the solving Ethereum clients issues. For this cohort, we have 3 clients: Besu, which is written in Java. It is execution client. We also have Prism written in Go, and Lodestar written in TypeScript. Prism and Lodestar are consensus client. What is consensus client and what is execution client? We will learn it later on our next sessions. With this, our wonderful mentors will help us. We have 4 mentors for this program. Sally from Besu, Sammy, she's here with us from Prism, and Matthew and Phil from Lodestar. How will you interact with mentors in the Discord and on GitHub? So they won't teach you how to code. They will just explain your issue, how to better solve it. And this is a lot of self-work. So you will work on your own, and we will support you a lot in the Discord and on our calls. So we are mainly focused on developers who are going to solve these issues. But also, if you feel like you are not very confident developer, you can still stay with us. You can learn with us, because we will have our guests and calls as well. And you can learn open source contributing. This is how our WiEP repo will work. So you can just practice with it. I will provide you with some home assignments. And at any time, you can go around this circle. For example, if you feel like it's impossible for you, you struggle with this issue and it's impossible, just please don't drop this cohort. Stay with us, learn with us. We will support you. And also, if you think that you will also only learn, you can try open source contributions, and then maybe if you like it, you'll go to solving issues. So our weekly sessions will be on Thursday at 4 p.m. UTC, and the duration is 3 months. 3 months we will be together. I'm super excited about it. And the last session, the closing ceremony, will be on the 1st of May. Our communication will be in the Zoom. We will drop the link into the Discord, and join us for the call. We will have 2 types. It's similar like fellowship. We'll have 2 types of calls: stand-ups, where you will share your updates, your blockers. If you have any questions, we will try to solve it, to help you. And for these calls, we won't make recordings, because we want you to feel you like safe and ask your questions, like no pressure of recording. But for office hours, we will have special guests with, they will give talks about the protocol, and you can ask questions as well, all about Ethereum protocol, how it works, etc. And for these sessions, we'll have a recordings, so you can watch them again and again. This is how our schedule looks like. So office hours and stand-ups will alternate with each other. Sometimes probably we have to interchange them. It depends on the speakers' availability, but we will provide you in advance. So the cohort goals, once again, is to learn about the Ethereum protocol, to practice on open source projects, and to get your pull requests merged. At least one is your goal. So how to join the program? You need to fill the registration form and join our Discord. You can check out our WiEP GitHub repo. I think Pooja already shared the link. And you will have a home assignment soon after this call. We will drop it into the Discord, so please check it. This is our Discord. I don't know, Pooja, I don't see if you share it or not. Yeah, but we can share it later. Study group channel is our main channel where we will be communicate. And I also would like to quickly show you our repo. Can you see my GitHub as well? Yeah. Okay. So this is the main README file where you can find the description of the study group, and we also have like code of conduct and FAQ and resources here. But our main folder is cohort 3. Here we will work for all the sessions. This is a program guide where you can quickly read about all these files. And our main files are session tracker, when you have where you have this whole schedule. And you will also have the links for recordings and assignments here. And the progress tracker is where we will work on the open source. So we will create this table together, this one, and you will open your PRs, you will you will update your progress here. The GitHub guide provides some, like steps how to contribute. We will work with 2 repositories, WLP and the client repository. So it depends on what client you will choose to solve its issue. And the issues guide is here the information about our mentors and links to the issues. Yeah, that's it. Just don't worry, a lot of information. We will like break it into some small steps. Just join our Discord and welcome to our sessions. And yeah, we will make it easier step by step. Thank you.
Thank you, Katya, for making it simpler. I think Katya mentioned that from next Thursday, we are going to have regular meeting. We'll get to know more about it in the Discord channel. And huge shout out to Ajaya. I mean, you brought the entire girls team here to watch this session together. Thank you. Well, thank you all for joining us here in this incredible journey with WiEP study group. We are going to start a new one with cohort 3, where we will explore Ethereum protocol development. We'll try to learn a lot from client developers and other experts. We'll try to bring a strong and supportive community of women in Ethereum. So huge thank you to all our guest speakers, participants, and volunteers who are going to support all the way to a successful cohort. And to our participants, if you are in the session, please join us on Discord if you aren't there already. If you know someone who may be interested in this, let them know and invite them to Discord. We are open there to answer all those questions. Let's stay connected. We'll keep learning and we'll continue driving the innovation together. On behalf of WiEP team, thank you so much. See you in the next call. And as I always say, women, let's elevate Ethereum. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. See you on the next call.